Brenden Slaughter here from BeaversEdge.com, coming to you live from Reser Stadium, where Oregon State defeated Cal 38-10 to get back to their winning ways. They pick up win number 7 here at Reser Stadium in their penultimate game here at Reser Stadium as the Beavers look to wrap up the 2022 campaign. It was a big bounce back for Oregon State in a lot of ways. Obviously, after the loss to Washington and Seattle last week, the Beavers needed to bounce back and needed to get back to their winning ways against a Cal team that was beatable, and the Beavers did just that tonight. Obviously, right off the bat, we saw the offense be able to capitalize on offensive possessions, turn them into touchdowns, something we didn't see early on against the Huskies last week. That was evident tonight as the Beavers ran up a 14-0 score, and then a punt return made it 21-0 and effectively put the game on ice early as Cal's offense really couldn't get anything going against a superb Oregon State defensive effort, held the Bears to under 200 yards of total offense and just dominated in terms of yardage. That was Oregon State's lowest yardage number held since the 2009 season when Oregon State held Washington State to an even lower total. So great bounce back for Trent Bray's defense tonight as the defense puts the clamps on Cal early. They get an interception. Kyrie Fisher-Morris had what nearly would have been a pick six if he hadn't been tripped up by his own teammate, but nevertheless just a good bounce back for Oregon State. It wasn't perfect, but they were able to get the job done. It starts with Ben Gulbranson, obviously much more efficient under center despite not still having a ton of yards and a ton of vertical passing action. He was efficient, finished with 3 total touchdowns. He had 2 passing, 1 on the ground via quarterback sneak, and just compared to last week, it's not like he turned into a completely different quarterback, but you can just tell he's so much more comfortable here at Reser Stadium than on the road, and that's why Oregon State has played significantly better on the road this year, or at home, compared to on the road. And then we saw the receivers make some plays. Trayshawn Harrison was his favorite target tonight as he caught several passes, just finished below the 100-yard mark, but had a good game, efficient, and coming into this game, we talked about it at Beavers Edge. The Golden Bears were the worst Pac-12 defense as far as giving up yards through the air. The Beavers didn't quite get, obviously, to the number. Cal allowed just under 300 yards a game. Ben finished in the ones. So still some opportunity and room that the passing game needs to grow, but for what Oregon State needed to do to win this game, Ben Gulbranson was very workmanlike, was able to take care of the ball, make the plays that need to be there, and Oregon State obviously got the win. And then defensively, what we've seen, the defense has been very tough to beat in this stadium, and you go back to any of their wins or even the close USC loss, the only home loss this year, that's just a right there game where the defense held USC to a pretty low point total. So a lot to like for Oregon State, obviously bouncing back, getting the win in Reser Stadium tonight, and perhaps more importantly than that, the Oregon State's able to bounce back and come back with a big time win. If there was a bit of concern tonight, it was a couple of the injuries that ended up taking place. Jack Coletto ended up leaving the game early due to an undisclosed injury. Also lost a couple offensive linemen as Haneli Bloomfield and Talise Fulaga, both left the game and didn't return. We also saw Jam Griffin suffer an injury as well. I believe there were a couple guys in the secondary that got banged up as well. Jonathan Smith talked about Jaden Grant and Alex Austin. But the good news with that is that Jonathan Smith said that he didn't believe any of those injuries to be severe or significant or season ending. We'll see exactly how long their timeline is here in the coming days and practices obviously leading up to next week. But big bounce back for Oregon State. They get win number 7. They secure a winning season for the second straight year. And, considering where this program had been prior to, last year breaking through the bowl game, that's obviously a feat in itself and something that Oregon State will be very happy about. But, moving forward, we got one more road game this next week. Oregon State heads on the road to face Arizona State. And, outside of the Fresno State game earlier in the year and then the Stanford game where the miraculous last-second win, Oregon State hasn't necessarily put it all together on the road this year. So now facing an Arizona State team that is definitely not playing for a whole lot, lost bowl eligibility this weekend, and finishing out the year under their interim head coach. It'll be interesting to see what their motivation is playing their final game at Sun Devil Stadium this year. So a lot to get into this next week. Make sure to stay locked to BeaversEdge.com as we'll have coverage obviously leading up to that game and gearing you up for Oregon State's final regular season road trip as we get to game number 11 next week. But To wrap up this one, Oregon State over Cal 38-10 here at Research Stadium. The Beavers bounced back in a big way. They put the game away early and have some memorable performances throughout. Again, just also want to highlight Damian Martinez, who went over 100 yards for his third straight performance. The kid is starting to be something special for Oregon State, and despite some of the injuries that happened tonight, particularly with Jam Griffin and Deshaun Fenwick not playing pregame, it was, his value to the offense just continues to increase. So moving ahead, there's going to be a lot to like about where Oregon State is headed. They get win number 7. Things improve a little bit. Now we'll see if they can take that momentum on the road and get win number 8 and put a lot of, build up a lot to what is coming out to be and looking like it's going to be a massive Oregon State game with the Ducks falling to Washington tonight. So again, Brenden Slaughter here from Research Stadium. Oregon State bounces back and gets a 38-10 win over California. The Beavers improve to 7-3, 4-3 overall in the Pac-12, and will finish conference play on the road next week, and then have obviously the finale right here at Research Stadium against Oregon before figuring out where the postseason bowl projections ultimately have them landing. So again, Brenden Slaughter signing off from Research Stadium. Oregon State gets the 38-10 win over California. They're back in action against the Sun Devils in Tempe this next weekend.